items, you would feel violated.
You know, it's not a matter of whether I have something to hide or not. It's no one's business if I do or don't. That's exactly what it states in the Constitution. It's what it means when it says your right, not your privilege to privacy. It's your right to privacy, and it was put in there for a darn good reason.
Yeah, because you'd be, it should be you're innocent until proven guilty, and that's how it would be. But when you start getting under the state of mind where I have nothing to hide, and then it becomes, everybody's guilty, and you're just going to have to prove your innocence. So when the police are under that mentality, and so yeah, they're, right off the bat, they're going to think that you're guilty. So, and then you'll just have to prove your innocence and let them go through your home or your car or your search you physically. And
well, unfortunately, that's the way the system is today anyway, that you are basically guilty and have to prove your innocence. Stop and think about it. If we have a man in office, in the Oval Office, who spent $1.8 million, was it, keeping his private papers to himself, the average person out there doesn't have the luxury of using donated money, taxpayer money, whatever have you, of keeping their personal business to themselves. So what gives these people the right to inflict that kind of harm? And I call it harm because in reality, it leaves you wide open for self-incriminating yourself. I mean, that's absurd that they can just anytime arbitrarily track you down, search you, seize possessions in your home, even take your property from you, and a lot of times it's all on just a what's the word when they get these so-called pieces of information from little snitches here and there.
Rats, or you're looking for an official term?
I mean, it's all on a hint of somebody.
Oh, tips, yeah, anonymous tips, right? And that's something that's been escalating as well. Report a illegal gun owner. You'll see that. Report a legal gun owner, and of course, that's what does that do? As the economy gets, if the economy doesn't get better, people, are going to become more desperate, and yeah, they'll do things like that. Whether that person, how could you determine whether a person is, a legal gun owner or not? I mean, it's just without even going into it being, our constitutional right. That just gets everybody in that kind of snitch mode, that snitch mentality.
Right. And it also leaves you wide open for violation of the Fourth Amendment against search and seizure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many ramifications with that statement about if you don't have anything to hide. It just blows my mind that people could be that ignorant. And I really, seriously, I feel like going through their house. Just going through their things, arbitrarily checking stuff out and throwing stuff here and there and doing what I damn well please. If they have nothing to hide, why can't I go through the drawers in their bedrooms and pull out their toys and, their whips and their chains and everything else that they don't want everybody to know on the other side of their closed doors? Because if they go after you in your backyard or in your car, or, I mean, it's just a matter of time. They're going to come walking through your bedroom door.
Mm-hmm. Looking for contraband, looking for, are you a terrorist? Just doing safety checks.
And look at what's happening with this so-called green police now. That's not something that people are just making up in their imagination. There's so much evidence that we're going to get hit with that. People are going to be looking through your trash to make sure you separate all your stuff and you recycle and whatever have you, that you're not putting too much fertilizer on your lawn. It's like it goes beyond the imagination on how far these people will go. It's the proverbial camel with the nose under the tent.
And that's another thing that we're talking about was that application called EcoSnoop, and that would fit perfectly with what you were talking about, Patrick, where you can have your little iPhone and snap a picture and then send it up to their database. You know, if your neighbor is wasting water or electricity, you know.
Yeah, exactly. But you know, the sad thing is that people don't really pick up on is that the people in the top of the food chain, if you will, the people that sit in the seats of Congress and the ones in the Oval Office and below them, they do what they damn well please. They're exempt from the laws that they create. That's been proven time and time and time again. You go back in history in just 20 years, and you probably draw up at least 1,000 or two more of articles about these people getting away with, in essence, something close to murder.
Yeah, definitely. People need to start waking up when it comes to that, because you know eventually it's already kind of to that point. It's just a matter of, you know, the right situation, the right whatever crisis, if you want to call it, and then like I said, then it's too late. Then you've basically given up all those rights. So if you're that person that says I have nothing to hide, you know, whatever, well, you know, that's fine. In a perfect world, it'd be nice if, you know, you could put a little tag on your door or on your car, a little sticker that says I don't mind having my privacy invaded, and then but you know everybody else could be left alone. But that's not how it works, you know. We're all subject to that.
Exactly. And the sad thing is, once they implement something like that, it never gets taken away.
No, it doesn't.
I think we're coming up on a break anyway, so.
Okay. Well, yeah, I was just, I guess when we come back, we'll talk maybe a little bit about the U.S. Census questionnaire. I believe the only thing that they have to really ask is how many people are in the house, right? So now these census, they're asking what political affiliation you are and all kinds of crazy questions. So.
Oh, and it doesn't even stop there, Darko. Wait till we get into what the children are being asked in school, like the first time they lost their virginity and such.
Oh, wow.
It gets deep.
That's right. It does get deep. Well, this is the end of segment 3, a rare edition of The Cutting Edge, and we'll be right back after this. All right, folks, we are back and we are live. This is segment 4 of The Cutting Edge, a special edition on Monday night, March 1st. A very rare edition, by the way. Not often we get to do this. But we are back and we are live. We have our co-host Darko with us on the Skype line, and we have Patrick joining us here. Tonight we've discussed kind of open topics about the news and articles that we found around the net. We are back and we are live. Joining us now is Patrick and Darko. Go ahead, guys.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so we were getting ready to talk about something else. There was a recent article, I'm not sure if you guys can pull that up, about the DNA being taken from babies at birth and put into a database. You know, I have an article here that was from February 4th of this year, and it was titled "The Government Has Your Baby's DNA." And it says that when Annie Brown's daughter, Isabel, was a month old, her pediatrician asked Brown and her husband to sit down because he had some bad news to tell them. Isabel carried a gene that put her at risk for cystic fibrosis. While grateful to have that information, Isabel received further testing, and she does not have the disease. The Mankato, Minnesota couple wondered how the doctor knew about Isabel's genes in the first place. After all, they never consented to genetic testing. And it goes on and says,